Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Blast.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, Chief Envelope Licker for Critical Blast Logistics, Proofreader Extraordinaire for Critical Blast Publishing, and we haven't got Critical Blast Pizza Delivery going just yet. Thinking about it, maybe working on it. Not sure how we could tie the logistics and the proofreading and the publishing into that. Make the pepperoni spell whatever you want and get it to you overnight. I don't know if overnight's a good model for a pizza delivery system. We're still working the kinks out of that. Tonight, we are going to talk about comic books. Yeah, big surprise. I know. It took me back as well. But tonight's a little different. We usually talk about somebody who's crowdfunding, trying to put a new indie title out. Last night, we spent an hour with talking editing, talking the need for editing in your indie comics. Don't just stop slapping it out there. Because you want to be able to do it twice, and if you don't do it right the first time, you pretty much don't get a second chance. But tonight puts me in mind of when I was a kid, and I would get sick because that's what kids do. If you haven't got any yet, it's going to happen. And I would be in bed, not wanting to be there, probably couldn't breathe, had a little stick of Vicks thing that would get shoved up my nose, and they'd say, "Snip that," and I'm like, I can't breathe anything. But when Dad came home from work, he'd always bring me, a couple of packs of wacky packages. He'd peel those off, stick them on the headboard, and a stack of comic books. Because if you just lay in bed, what are you going to do? So I got to lay in bed, and I got to read comic books. I got to read the DCs, the Marvels. It was the 70s, so the good stuff. I think about that tonight when I bring our next guest on, because he's got a program like that for kids like me, and in worse case than me, multiplied out by hundreds and hundreds. So, this is something that I think that we all want to get behind here and see how we can help out, because there's something coming up in the very near future where everybody can participate, and we're going to touch on that. Please welcome with me to the show, Mr. Mark Weiss from Comic Books for Kids. Mark,
RJ,
welcome, sir.
Hey, thank you. How's the sound? Sound okay?
You sound good to me. We'll let the chat people. If the chat can't hear you, they will be the first ones to tell us. Pops Van Zant is out there. He was the first one in the show. Welcome, yeah. Pops. Glad to see you.
So the only comment I want to make is pizza and comics are two of my favorite things. Just perhaps not exactly at the same time when you're reading one. I think we've all made that mistake, but only.
Oh, there's a guy on the internet. I think I know who it is, but I'm afraid if I say the name, I'll get the wrong one. And he does this pizza and lunch pictures, and he'll always have like a 1970s classic book, and it's right next to the plate with the pizza just starting to drip off. I'm like,
yeah,
it gets me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, RJ. Listen, I appreciate the opportunity. To those of your followers who are watching, thank you for taking a few minutes to listen and to share in our mission, and with hopes and just real hopes and expectations that perhaps we touch a heartstring, and you may all want to help, and we would certainly love and appreciate that.
Now, you were telling me before we started the show that you've been in this comics collecting business for a little while now. Couple of months.
Yeah, I started December of last year, as you can tell from the stuff behind me.
Yeah. Okay.
But look, you know what? You talk about growing up, and you talk about being ill, and you talk about Dad, right? Bringing comics. I mean, for me, it all started with Dad coming home from the train station, with comics in his hand. What the heck are these? Oh, cool. Here's a Justice League. Oh, wow. I got all the characters together. Wow. But growing up, I had asthma. I mean, I had bad asthma. I mean, it was a situation where I started getting allergy shots when I was 6 years old. I mean, that tells you how bad it was. And
Yeah.
I would be one of those guys who would hunch over and just grab his knees just to breathe. And to give you an indication of the challenge I had from a medical perspective, that the bus would drop me off from school at the corner. And of course, I'm of that age where I would run home to watch Dark Shadows because I was into the whole pop culture Dark Shadows thing back in the day.
Absolutely.
That kind of dates myself. But the corner to my home was two houses. A normal child would get off the bus and could be home in 30 seconds. It was that quick. But an asthmatic, if I was having asthma, I would literally take a step, grab my knees, wait, take a step, grab my knees. And sometimes it would take me 5 to 10 minutes just to go 2 houses. So growing up was challenging for me because my asthma it was just being treated. They didn't have the medications I have now. And, wonderfully now it's all been controlled and all that. But there were times I would be in my room. I would have problems breathing, and comic books for me, much like your dad bringing you comics when you were ill, was very much an escape measure for me to take me away from the challenges of problems breathing and just putting me somewhere else. And it's interesting because I hadn't planned on bringing that up tonight, but when you mentioned, your situation, it triggered something that I think I've shared with very few people, which is my own personal story, which is, how when you read a comic, you are literally transported somewhere else. And while you're reading that comic, you're not wherever you are. You're not dealing with the challenges of the day. You're literally involved in the story and the art of the comic.
Yeah, it's supposed to be escapism. That's why we all dove into it.
And that's what that's what this is all. That's what we're all about for the kids. Let me not get ahead of myself because I know there's some questions you want to ask me, but that's literally what we're all about for the kids and helping kids literally across the country.
Yeah, and so you've been a comic collector since you were a kid. You didn't grow out of it, much like I was told I would.
It's gotten worse, RJ, to be honest.
Yeah. It's one of those things. You're either going to grow out of it or it's going to get real bad.
3 letters, OCD. Let's move on.
No. CDO.
Okay.
It's the same thing, but the letters are in the right order as they should be.
I understand. Okay? I love that.
So somewhere along the way, your collecting comics and your love of comics went from amassing them for me to wanting to give them to everyone else. How did that come about? How did you come up with this idea to start giving comics to hospitals and kids in them?
Thank you for asking. It's a great question. And you have to appreciate the fact that up to 5 years ago, I was in business. I was an IT guy. I was a business manager. Little could I have ever imagined where I would be today. It wasn't even a thought. But, I was getting close to 60 years old. I had amassed a nice collection of comics, and I realized that perhaps it was time to thin out a little of the collection. Do I really need A1 Bizarro in my collection? Maybe not. And if I've offended anybody who likes Bizarro, I would like to apologize. But we all have the books that we want to hold on to, and we have some that we can thin out. And so it occurred to me that I would just donate these to a comic book charity. Real simple. And so what I did, RJ, was I went on Google and I typed comic book charity. And I'm fine with it. So then I typed charity for comic books. and I saw some stuff, but it really wasn't there. And so I came to one conclusion and one conclusion only, that my Google search skills were completely abysmal, because there's got to be a comic book charity out there. There has to
Absolutely, had to be.
right? And I had remembered sometime, somewhere on a forum years past, where someone said that they were doing this. So it occurred to me that if there wasn't one, guess what I'm going to do? I am just going to start one, because I was, again, getting close to retirement. I wanted to retire a little bit earlier. I was just getting tired of the rat race. I wanted to do something with comics. And I figured, you know what I would do is I would just do this for 4 or 5 hospitals in my local area. Just find a publisher I could work with, get a few comics, every so often donate to a hospital, take some of my stuff. And that was going to be my move into retirement. So I call my son and I say, Mike, listen, there's a show coming up in a week. It's called C2E2 in Chicago. Yeah. And can we get a website? Goes, we can get a domain name. Okay, tell you what, let's get a domain name. I'll give you the content, and let's just see what happens. So we went for Comics for Kids, and already Comics for Kids was taken. It was comedians doing kids' birthday parties. So we passed on that, right? So we came up with Comic Books for Kids, because guess what? That's what we are. So we did Comic Books for Kids. My son, grabbed the domain, and now we have a website with literally 0 content, but we're real, okay? We're real, because if you're on the web, you've got to be real, right? So I gave him the documentation for the website. It was a Microsoft Word document. I think I need to frame it somewhere. And it basically said, publishers, if you want to work with us, we're giving these comics to kids, work with us. Retailers, got some excess comics? Give it to us. I mean, RJ, it was the most skeletal of websites one could ever imagine. But we were real. And again, no expectation of what was going to happen, because this was just concept and just spur of the moment. Let's just get going, right?
And what year was this, by the way?
2017.
Okay.
So 2017, we go to C2E2. And I get in there, and I walk up to a gentleman who worked for IDW. He's now with Image. To back up, the night before I bought business cards. So literally I have a website with no content. I have a business card. I have no t-shirt or anything. I just have this sign on my forehead that stamp says, trust me. And I walk up to IDW, and I say, hi, my name is Mark Weiss. I'm starting a charity to provide comic book and pop culture items to kids in hospitals. Would you be interested in participating? He looked at me and he said, absolutely. Wait, really? Because RJ, absolutely was the farthest thing I had ever expected. It was, hey, look, man, I'm really busy. I got stuff I got to do. Absolutely, Mark. Do me a favor. Here's my card. It's Friday. I'm in meetings. Will you call me on Monday? Sure.
That's awesome. Great start.
I then, feeling energized, walked to the next booth, Dark Horse. There's a lady there, and I said, hey, listen, I was just talking to gentlemen at IDW, and my name is, and this is what I'm doing, and do you think you guys want to help? She looks at me and she says, can I give you a hug? By the way, the world wasn't as politically correct back then, where you could say something like that and people not be offended. All right.
Amazingly, yes.
Right. Amazing. So I said, absolutely, you can give me a hug. I'll never turn down a hug, but can you? Although maybe today, but I said, can you tell me why you want to give me a hug? And she said, Mark, I'll tell you. I'm sharing this booth with one other person, and literally, I mean, this person just went to get coffee for her and for me. And literally 30 seconds. I mean, the conversation that just occurred before you walked up was, I looked at her and said, I am so tired of having to throw all this material away. Isn't it a shame that there's no place we can donate these to? She leaves, you walk up and say to me, hey, do you want to work with us? I got chills, and I knew right then and there this was
that was a sign.
I knew right then and there that this was something that had tremendous potential, and no one, honestly, no one was more surprised than me, because I knew I wanted to do it. What I wasn't sure is the adoption of the industry, or the supporters, or anyone else who may want to get involved. And from that point on, I mean, that's how I knew to double down and to move forward with this.
Now, you approached big companies, but out of big companies, they are some of the smaller players in the industry. So did they, when she said she was tired of throwing stuff away, were you then getting the sort of like the day old stuff left over after the convention that they had to give away? Or were you getting like, real, we published these things and we're going to give away a stack of them?
It was at that point, and we'll get to where it ended up going. At that point, it was never even discussed of what I would be receiving. It was sufficient enough for me to hear that there was a publisher who appreciated the mission and would get on board with us. I knew also I had to take a look at the fact that I was starting out too. I mean, this was a week old. I still had not been incorporated yet, right? No. And you also realize that if you're going to give it, if you really want to work in the industry, and I don't consider myself in the industry, people may now consider me, but I'm an outsider. I was a business guy, right? I love my comics. I love pop culture, but I'm a business guy, right? So I knew I had to go through the process of becoming a charity, a legal charity, so that when Dark Horse or IDW or anybody else, or you wanted to give me 5 comics, I could quickly turn around with a legal, legitimate donation receipt. So sure. What that did for me, though, was it told me right then and there that this was very real, and we had something. And so, I mean, I left C2E2. I'm off the floor, because now I know that this is not just a concept. It's not just an idea, but it's something that we can really work with.
So did you just continue the rest of the weekend going to publisher after publisher? And
no. The next thing I did was I said, okay, I guess this is real now. So the very next thing I did was said, now I have no money, right? Listen, this is an idea. I have a business card and a website with no content. I mean, we're nothing. We're nothing, right? We're a concept at this point. I have done nothing for anyone, just a desire to do something at this point. So I realized that the next step has to be a charity incorporated, but I don't have the money. I mean, I had personal money, but I didn't know the first thing about I've never worked in a charity before. How do I create this charity that becomes a legal entity, right? Yeah. So I went back and I started Googling, pro bono help. And and that pro bono, of course, is a word I wasn't even smart enough to say pro bono at the time. It was free help for charities. And I found this site because I'm in the Chicago burbs. I found this site in Chicago, and I called this lady, and she answered the phone. I said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create a charity for kids in hospitals. And she said, are you part of an underserved market? And I said, I am not a minority. I don't consider myself underserved. She goes, that's not what I'm asking you. She said, who are your customers? Who are you creating this charity to support? I said, children in hospitals, cancer centers. She said, that's underserved. She said, here's how it works. Okay. She said, Go on our website, click on this tab, and download this packet. What you'll need to do is fill out this application form, and then I need a business plan. Okay? What we then do is we then submit this along with all the other people who want to be a charity to all the attorneys in the Chicagoland area. And once a month, every month, they go through, and if they like who you are, they'll pick you, and they will adopt you, and they will work with you. I said, great. You know what? Give me a couple weeks, and we'll get this done. She said, well, let me be clear. Now, remember, I had come back from C2E2. It's Friday, right? And so I'm talking to her on a Friday. She said, this is not something that you can rush through. Okay. She said it needs to be a very thorough application, and you need a very detailed, in-depth business plan if you want to be adopted. Okay, great. I said, give me a couple weeks. She goes, we can do that. She said, but I submit these to the attorneys once a month. Yes. She goes, once a month is Monday.
Oh.
And it's Friday afternoon, late Friday. I said, so you're telling me if I want to get in now, I have to get you this by Monday afternoon? She said, yes. She goes, don't do it. I said, don't tell me not to do it. When someone tells me not to do it, I'm going to do it just because, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
All right. RJ, I was back in college again. You know, the caffeine, well, I'll keep this clean, you know. The caffeine was next to me. The candles were burning. The laptop was there. And I mean, it was honest to God, 20 hours a day from the moment I pulled it down, writing a very thorough business plan, wrote the conclusion before I wrote, you know, anything else. Got to figure out my board of directors was not having a clue. And by Monday afternoon, I had a 35-page typed document ready to go, which I submitted to her. Took a breath, called her, said, when am I going to hear back? She said, maybe a week, two, but give it some time. The next day, my phone rang. She said, Mark, I have great news. People were fighting over your application. People wanted your application. She said, we have an incredible legal team for you. They will do this pro bono. They will get in touch with you.
Pops is in the chat. He said he just had Max Ham, a creator on his channel, is going to add a tier to his crowdfunding campaign for CB4K. So
Pop, let Max know that for that tier, I am thrilled to write a personalized letter or sign a letter with him that we can give to all Kickstarters. Not that my signature is worth a whole lot, but it's kind of fun on that tier, you get something special. So we can do something like that so thank you. So that's how, so that was it. And then I was told, wait 6 months, RJ, and what's going to happen in 6 months is you'll get that. And then get a phone call 2.5 months later saying, Mark, I don't know what it is. Perhaps it's divine. It's the quickest we've ever seen, but you're now a legal 501c3, meaning you are a charity. Congratulations. We went with the name comic books being one word. And I said, and that was not my idea. It was my attorney's idea. She goes, do something different. Now, you know what? It is different, but to this day, no one spells it correctly. So if I had to go back, I might change it. But it's comic with capital C, comic, capital B, comic books. And then someone said to me, Stan Lee, put comic books as one word, And I said, well, I didn't, but, okay, if I'm following in Stan Lee, there's worse things to do. So that was it. That's the very humble beginnings. But even then, RJ, what are we? We're a concept. We're an idea. We're a legal entity. I still have no inventory. I still have no place for storage. I still have no income for the charity. I still don't have any hospitals to ship to. Congratulations, right?
You're an idea. You exist.
We're an idea with huge aspirations and hopes for the future. Right. At that point. And we're, 2017.
Now,
go ahead.
This was, a couple of months now after C2E2.
Correct.
So you had buy-in from people from IDW. I'm assuming you had to call them back sleep deprived after 3 days of filling out your paperwork.
Yeah, I did. I spoke with them. It was very much email. I mean, just it was more email than phone conversation. But they came back with, look, we at the time IDW. I mean, the industry's changed, as you know. Diamond was the only distributor at the point. Now, you've got Penguin Random House now. You've got Lunar. You've got Diamond. So IDW said, "Hey, Mark, you know what? We Diamond is our distributor, and we have a ton of books. We have a ton of books at Diamond. You know what we do with them every 6 months? No, I don't know. We burn them.
Wow.
No. So maybe there's something we can do." I said, "Okay." So now we all know the Previews magazine from Diamond, right?
Yeah.
Previews, right? We all. I mean, I used to love Previews. It's a Sears Wish book. But again, I'm dating myself.
This is a Sears catalog. For
it is a Sears Wish book. I love. Yeah. So I picked up the Diamond Previews and I opened it to the first page. And I went down and I saw this guy's name, who was the operations exec. Now, part of running this organization is, RJ, you got to be fearless. I mean, people want to tell me I'm an idiot. Fine. I mean, I expected no from day one. I expect no. I'm thrilled to get yes. But you can't be afraid to ask, right?
You don't get what you don't ask for.
Absolutely. So ask. And if I don't get a yes, it just means I haven't phrased the question correctly. But I called Diamond and I asked to speak with the operations exec, and the very efficient assistant said, "Who are you?" And I said, "My name is Mark Weiss. I run an organization called Comic Book for Kids." And they said, "Well, John, who is the operations exec, is not there." I said, "That's fine. Put me through to his voicemail." Got his voicemail and said, "John, you're the operations exec. You've never spoken with me before in your life. I have a proposition for you. I want you to call me back. I need 5 minutes of your time. You have my word that if you don't hear what you like in 5 minutes, you may hang up on me. But please give me the courtesy of a call back. I need your help. And I think this could be something fun for Diamond and our organization, Comic Book for Kids." Didn't expect a phone call back. Got a phone call back. And we spoke for an hour.
Oh, he must have liked the first 5 minutes.
Or else it just, as you can see, it takes me a long time just to even say my name. That might have just been my introduction for an hour. But lo and behold, he goes and speaks with several other of Steve Geppe's executive reports. And I'm throwing around names as if I know these people. I don't. I promise you I don't, because I'm not part of the industry, right? But I mean, right. I learned that he reported to Steve Geppe. Again, the world has changed, and a lot of that guy is no longer with Diamond, and a lot of the people that were there are no longer there. And the next thing I know, I mean, a few months have gone by, and I get a phone, and he goes, "Mark, we're going to figure out a way that we can work with you. We're not sure how, but we're going to work with you." Because it was obvious to me, if you really want adoption, if you really want to be recognized, if you really want acceptance in the industry, Diamond is the one. You got to have Diamond somewhere in your court. So that was why I wanted Diamond. And I said, "John, thank you so much. Appreciate it." The next thing I know, I get a phone call a few weeks later. "Hey, Mark, did you hear what happened at San Diego Comic-Con?" "No." "They have a retailer luncheon there." I said, "Okay." "Diamond announced their relationship with you." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Diamond announced that they are partnering with Comic Book for Kids." I said, "Not a single retailer there has a clue who Comic Book for Kids are." "It doesn't matter, Mark. Diamond announced that they are working and they are partnering with Comic Book for Kids." And this is all happening, within 4, 5, 6 months, right? So now I'm putting stuff on our website. You want to work with us, work with us. So I get a retailer that wants to work with us, and he sends me 25 Spider-Mans. 25 copies of a Spider-Man thick book. And this is the humble beginnings, RJ, because with those 25 comic Spider-Mans, this is the way it started. I called a hospital that was a half hour away from me, said, look, here's what we're all about. These are brand new. You want to, what do you think? We'd love them. I get in my car, I drive 30 minutes, I give the person a box of Spider-Man comics and say, I'm sorry, it's only one title. I'm sorry it's for a certain age group. I promise we will try to do better as we move forward. And that was our humble beginnings. A retailer giving me 25 Spider-Man comics and me getting in the car and driving 30 minutes. I'm going to cut to the chase now. Because today we support 185 hospitals. We're in all 50 states. We support all demographics. And from my 5 little hospitals that I wanted to ease into retirement through, I now work 70 hours a week doing this 24/7. I love what I do. There's not a single state in this country that we don't do this for. And
you're operating 70 hours a week. You're not working.
I'm operating 70 hours a week. I don't work anymore.
That's right. Because when you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, right?
It is so true. So, I mean, from that moment to, it just exploded. I mean, so I jumped to the end there, but today we are at 185 hospitals. And on our website, we literally list all the hospitals we support. I mean, there's a tab, and if you click on it, it's pretty daunting. And I need to add more. It shows every single hospital that we support.
Yeah.
Just page after page after page.
You talk about, you started this in 2017, and boy, it seems like a long time ago, but it's not. It's not.
It's not.
It was forever ago and yesterday at the same time. But what you talked about, the retailer gave you 25 copies of Spider-Man. You took him to the hospital. Hospital said thank you. But what I want to know is, after Diamond made the announcement, and at some point, you get at some point UPS is knocking on your door.
Actually, it was so. What do I do? You know what? I really don't need a whole lot of space for comics. I got my garage. Okay. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I get a phone call from someone from a website. Hey, I have a collection. Can I drop it off? Sure. So guy goes, you really don't mind? I go, no, this is great. And the guy comes with a truck and drops off about 50 long boxes in my garage.
Oh.
Now, there are two things. I am completely conflicted at this point because the collector in me wants to wet himself. I have 50 long boxes of comics. I can't wait to go and see what's in there for the kids. Not for me. This is not for me. It doesn't matter. I'm still a guy who loves comics, and I'm excited that I got some cool stuff for the kids.
You know what? Speaking of guys who love comics, somebody would like to meet you.
Hey, Pop!
What's going on, Mark?
Pop and I have been chatting via email. This is the first time we've actually had a chance to say hello face to face.
That was what I told RJ. I said, man, send me the link. I got to say hi to this guy, man. Come on.
That's awesome. This is very nice, Pops. And thank you so much for everything and for all your support. It's very...
I reached out to RJ. I said, man, all of you guys that got these news websites, actual comic news websites.
Yeah.
I need your help, man, because I don't have one of those. I got a show, I got a Facebook group. But these guys actually, RJ and Chris Braley, they actually have comic news websites that do press releases for people like you and the kind of stuff you're doing. And I wanted to make sure that everybody met everybody. And, this for me, this is just another way to blow it up. I had Max Daddy on my show. We were doing a launch party for his book, Earth's Best Friends, number 3. And I was like, man, this is this kind of book. We need a tier where people can buy 2 books, one for themselves and one for the kids. And he was like, yes. Right away, I sent him your email address. He'll get a hold of you. You guys can work out the particulars, but anytime I can get people involved in putting, the books in the kids' hand, and this is definitely a kid's book, no doubt.
Well,
You
look, Pops, I made a comment about this before and I shared this. And look, the heart of this the heart of this industry are the indie creators. It's the people who love this, who do this. You don't go into the comics to be a millionaire. I mean, not there's a couple guys out there who have the ability to do variant covers for Spider-Man, but all the rest of the creators are doing this for the love of what they do, for the enjoyment, right? So my commitment, first and foremost, my appreciation to all of the indie creators, anyone who wants to do an Indiegogo, who wants to do any type of tiering with any approach, is reach out to me, because I think we can always do something fun where if we do a tier for comic book for kids, and I've come up with this idea, and we always do something different. I like doing something special for the ones who want to do something for comic book for kids. And I will write a letter. Let's say we do the first 50 people who buy the tier. I will write a letter and I will write down one of 50 copies, and I will sign every one, and then I give it to the creator and they sign it. So when they participate in the creation, they get something special.
Yeah, sort of, even like a certificate of some kind.
It's look, people say to me, people call me on the phone. Pop's done this, and they're surprised that I answer. I'm not working. I'm operating 70 hours a week, but people say, you answer the phone. Well, yeah. Just because I run the organization doesn't mean I'm too busy to say thank you and hello to the people we work with.
I would much rather talk to somebody and have them get the inflection of my words, how know how excited I am, than to get my, hi, I'm Pops. I want to be part of your campaign. I want to be part of what you're doing. When you type it, it's monotone. You see what I'm saying?
Or misinterpreted, because email and intent and emotion can get misinterpreted.
Right. Exactly.
So I completely agree. But thank you. It's a pleasure to say hello. I thank you for RJ for doing this. I mean, again,
I also wanted. I mean, you asked me to earlier about the flyer, and it's like that led me to go right into our campaign. I'd like you to do a full page ad for the Cromniverse. I'd like to put a full page comic books for kids ad inside.
Have fun. Whatever. You know what? Listen, I give everybody green lights. Look, at the end of the day, this is all about making a difference for the kids, right? I mean, we're an all I didn't mention this, but we're an all volunteer organization. None of compensation for what we do. This is what I do. After this is over, it's going to be 8:30 Central Time. I will be back on my email, operating.
Yeah,
we're operating. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. So go. I mean, if we can make a difference for the kids, you know what, RJ, before the show, you knew exactly what I was going to ask.
I was already going there. Look at this. That picture right there, just the joy in that face is like, I've got Batman comics. It can't be more than 6, maybe 8.
It's a child in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
And that's what we are all about. It's a child in a hospital. And first and foremost, you know how hard it is to get pictures from hospitals for kids? And yet I get approved. Yeah. By the way, you see that picture to the right of the child? That indoor facility, that's what happens when you go to IDW and Dark Horse and say, I need material. You don't get boxes, guys. They start sending you pallets. That is our indoor facility, which I actually got January, literally it says January 22. I need to update the website. But
I need to update that commercial too, because my commercial says 160 hospitals, and that says 185 hospitals.
We're growing. But
Mark,
a year ago, I got that facility. We moved from a small 10 by 10 storage area to a little indoor facility, and we actually had to do that because of infectious disease controls and hospital requests and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, when did you realize that your garage just wasn't going to cut it?
Well, I'll tell you exactly when. It's a great question, because so the question is, Mark, how did you get 185 hospitals, right? How did you get 185 hospitals? I'll tell you what I did. I literally got a map of the U.S. I went on Google, got a map of the U.S., and my goal was I wanted hospitals in every state. I wanted to be able to say that we're touching every state. Now what do? How do I reach out? I said, it's too bad there's not a Children's Hospital Association. Well, there is. So I called them.
There you go.
Called them and said, hey, let me tell you what we're doing. And they said, oh, well, here's a list of all the hospitals in our association. Great. So one by one, I picked up the phone and called them and said, this is what we're doing. They said, love it. How much does it cost? It doesn't cost. It's free. How do we participate? What do we need to sign for paperwork? You don't. Here's my email. Whenever I have stuff to send, I'm going to send you an email. You respond saying, send me. We're done. Really? It's that easy? It's that easy. And so I called the hospital and they said, hey, Mark, what's your infectious disease control policies?
I'm not a hospital.
I said, paused, and before I put my foot in my mouth, I said, would you explain what you mean by infectious disease control policies? Well, absolutely. Are the comics we're receiving new? Have they been used? Thinking back to those 50 long boxes in my garage, right? Of which, sadly, most of them I had to actually throw away because some of them had been sitting in water for ages.
Oh.
That's why they were donated. Okay. But infectious disease control policies, Mark, is making sure that the materials you provide us are clean and sanitary. I said, we got that. We have an indoor facility. We didn't have an indoor facility. We were operating out of my garage. So immediately after that phone call, I called the storage facility, and within 1 hour, I had contracted to have an indoor facility where things could be safe and clean. And we flipped to make sure that anything we brought in from that point on was new or just slightly used and looked new. Because very quickly I realized, and this was before COVID, right? Very quickly I realized that we had to make sure we adopted to the policies of a hospital. So I said, yeah, we follow infectious disease control policies. I'm the only one that pulls the materials. It's all indoor, it's all new, it's all clean. And literally that is exactly what I did from that point on.
I'm over here taking over RJ's studio right now.
I'm like, oh, cool. There's a banner up there. And then I realized, like, this is my channel and I didn't do it. Pops has authority when he's on here to do things with my channel. So I can just kick back and let it go now. I'm on autopilot.
I did not realize I had that kind of control of both sides of the studio, though. That's cool.
I realized it in CromCon when I was starting to put people's chats up on the screen. I was like, oh, I can do this.
Excellent. See that? It's called networking, people.
So you're on the website. Go up a little bit. Go up a little bit.
By up, you mean this way?
Okay, well.
Or do you want to see the top of the page again?
Yeah, well, you know what? It was great you went that way anyway because we saw more pictures, but I meant to see, let's go to the top of the page.
Okay.
Now, across the line where you see the home, by the way, I was waiting for someone to say to me, how do you have approval to show superheroes that are not registered to you? I got Green Lantern, that's a DC, that's Wonder Woman. Do you have approval? I actually went to DC and Marvel and asked for approval if I could use those images. I have an email saying yes.
We just steal them.
Well,
you know what,
Mark, you can use Crom anytime you want.
Absolutely. You know what? Wait till he shows up, Pops. Wait till he shows up. All right. You know, or we'll do one of these things. You know, find Crom on the website. You know, to get people to learn the website. But if you go across where the home button is, the third tab is Hospital Network, and click on that, and page down. And I want your viewers to see all the hospitals we work with, and if there's a logo there, and just start paging down. You know,
I've already stopped here because I'm seeing customized comic book hospital box page.
Click on it, bud. Click on it. That's what's fun about it. All right. Ever wonder how we put together comic packages for hospitals? Here's how we do it. First, that's an interesting point because we customize every single box we send to hospitals. And remember, I'm working with 185 hospitals. I send a blast to 185 hospitals saying, here's what we got for you. Now, actually, no two hospitals are the same. I'm going to get someone that says, hey, Mark, I want some coloring books. You know, we really don't need any teen books, but we have so many needs for young kids. So I get all these customized requests. So what we do is I lay the stuff out. Everything gets put in magazine bags. And this is honest to God truth. I write a cover letter to every single hospital. There's a cover letter that goes to every single hospital. It's in the box. Everything is in magazine bags. I mean, if you go down a little bit more on this page, it kind of shows, you know, and this has been a few years, but we label it as teen. We'll label it. You see the cover letter that goes with it. Everything gets put in a magazine bag. And by the way, the boxes are now 16 by 13 by 13. They're huge boxes.
That's a crate.
It's huge now what we've turned into, but this is how it works. I sign every single letter. This is what's really funny. If you go down, this is our humble beginnings. You see the size of that box? It's a 2 by 9 by 3. It's a small little box. When we first started, and I went to hospitals and saying, I got some cool stuff for you. What do you want? They all said, you know, we don't have any storage room. Can you send us 25 comics? 25, sure. It's kind of like when you go to someone's house for dinner, you really don't know if you like the food. So you just take a little bit, right? Well, the hospitals really like the food because the next time the 25 went to 200. And now I'm getting requests for, can you send me 500 teens and 500? Can you send me 1,000? I mean, I'm getting ridiculous requests where some hospitals get, it's not unusual for one hospital to cost me a couple $100 in shipping.
That was exactly what I was going to ask you now, because the comics are being given to you for free. You're giving the comics to the hospitals for free.
Well, yes and no.
Who's paying the shipping?
Yes and no. The comics are being given to me for free as long as I pay for the shipping to get them.
Yeah. Okay. So you're paying in both directions.
So I'm paying in both directions. I mean, in other words, Mark, I got a pallet of cool stuff for you, but you have to pay so you can have it. And I want the donation receipt for what we're giving you in the value, but you're going to have to pay to get that pallet there. Cost. All right. Then I pay to ship it out. So yeah, right. We're paying. Now that's not always the case. In fairness, Funko joined with us a year ago. And they give us cool stuff. So, I mean, the boxes that go to kids in hospitals, I got the comics, we got the Funko Pops, we got coloring. Funko pays for everything. They give me stuff 5 times a year. If I need something, they'll ship it to me. And they haven't asked for a penny from me. A phenomenal, phenomenal organization. I cannot say enough about them. But most of the times when I get comic related material, the publishers will say, Mark, I'm glad to give this to you, but you got to pay for the shipping.
So on top of comic book donations, this is something where people can donate cash.
This is where I was going to go next, because not everybody does a children's book that's acceptable to be given to kids in the hospital. That doesn't mean they can't do a tier where you can get their book and add $10 donated to comic books for kids or something like that.
Got to be careful with that, Pops. You got to be careful with that, Pops, because Mike Barron just had an issue with Thin Blue Line with donations. You can't put donations on a Kickstarter.
It's really tough on a Kickstarter. What I tell people to do.
What about Indiegogo? Did they give them a hard time?
You know what? It's just easier if there's a way for people who want to donate. Go to our Facebook, go to our webpage. There's a donate tab.
I'm looking at this, and this is a pledge, just like you pledged a bunch of dimes or anything else. I don't see why it would be an issue.
Well, because Kickstarter can't control that the money actually goes there, and you're using their platform.
Thank you for that comment.
Okay.
But yeah. So I mean. I kind of call this, and you guys will get this. I have a 3-headed dragon, a 3-headed monster that I have to deal with every day. The first is I have to have the demand. The first head of the dragon is I have to have the demand from the hospitals. Hospitals have to want what we have, right? Well, we certainly took care of that over a period of years. And by the way, I mean, keep going down. It's staggering. I mean, even I look at this, and I did this, and I get amazed when I see all this. And by the way, as you're paging down, I still have to add about 20 or more hospitals on there, and new ones are coming in every single time. it's daunting. So next week we start our next shipment. Every one of these hospitals will get an email to me saying, "Look what we got for the kiddos." All right.
70 hours of your day is spent signing letters.
You know what? Good, because every letter I sign means I'm there's going to be smiles at the end of it.
There you go.
Some
There you go. There you go.
happier, and we're going to have a little boy like that in a hospital bed forgetting.
Phoenix Children's Hospital. That's where my son was born, baby.
You know, and I tell people, and for the people who are watching, you can go to our website, and if you see a hospital there that we're not covering, because there's lots of them, drop me a note. I have no problem reaching out to any of these and contacting them. If you know someone that works in a hospital and they want to be part of the program, literally all they have to do is reach out to me on our website. We'll add them. There's no charge for this program. This is what we do. It's about taking comic books and pop culture and making a child's life a little bit better while they're in the hospital.
I'm almost to the end, folks. There we go. I recognized so many names on there. I didn't notice if Shriners was on there. I know that's a big network.
Shriners, multiple.
It's on there.
On there. Multiple.
It's on there.
That's what I figured. So yeah, just tons of hospitals here. Guys, right here. This is what it's all about. You know,
You see that Batman right there?
Yes. Yeah. There's so what's the story with Dr. Batman there?
All right, grab your Kleenex. All right. So what I can't share with you enough is when I started this, I had no expectation or even any degree of comprehension how we would touch people's hearts. I knew we would make a difference. I knew that, but never, ever could I have imagined the impact that just these toys and pops and comic books would have. Never. So I get a call from this guy in St. Louis, and he wants to work with us. And at the time, Lion Forge was in St. Louis. They've been since adopted, picked up by Oni. Oni now owns them. But Lion Forge was headquartered in St. Louis. I had been working with them just a little bit, not a lot, but getting some of their materials. And a gentleman called me and said, "Hey, Mark, I want to do something." I said, "Let me see what I can do." He goes, I may be able to do a Batman, do a Batman buy a Batman suit and have my company pay for it. Maybe I can do something. So I called St. Louis Hospital and said, "Hey, look, what do you think about having Batman visit the kids again, pre-COVID, right?"
Right.
They said, "Well, it's kids. We have to have him talk to this guy, and he's got to be vetted. He's got to be reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'll set it up so he meets with you." I then called Lion Forge and said, "Let's do an all St. Louis event." So I'm kind of making this stuff up on the fly. I'm brokering this up, right? Call Lion Forge and say, "Hey, I got a guy in St. Louis who wants to go to St. Louis Hospital there. What do you think about you guys donating some comics to him? Take it to the hospital. It's an all city event. You guys get whatever publicity you want. Again, what do I get out of this? I mean, this doesn't help. I mean, it's not for me, right?
Yeah.
We're making a difference for the kids. So I get this thing all set up. The guy calls me. I'm going to Lion Forge. I got all these comics. It's great. The company paid for my Batman costume. They're so excited. And off he went. Calls me afterwards and says, "Mark, yes?" I had a life-changing experience. So people use that all the time. What do you mean you had a life-changing experience? "Mark, I'm serious." I said, "What happened?" He said, "I walked into a hospital and I went room for room. I got this bag of comics and I'm handing them out, and I go into this room and I go up and give these comics to a kid. He says something, and his mother just starts crying profusely. Just crying. And I don't know how to deal with this. I mean, I didn't expect this. So I walk out of the room. I walk out, and I got my Batman costume on. I take my mask off, and I look at Mom and say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make your child cry. says, you don't understand. Why? My boy's been in the hospital for a couple months, and he hasn't even said one word. And then you came up, and he whispered something. I go, I didn't hear what he said. Mother said, well, he said 2 words. What? That's Batman. And his mother realized that the power of the comic book, the visit, the character, was enough to take what was a child that wasn't speaking, wasn't interacting, and brought him back.
That's awesome.
And it was moments like that that made me realize what we had. One other story real quick I'll share with you. I got an email from someone. Said, Mark, you have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea the power of what you're doing. I wrote back, I said, I work in my ivory tower, right? I'm packing comics. I'm stripping them out. I don't see the smiles in the kids' faces. He goes, no, you don't understand. Said I was abused. This person's telling me, doesn't even know me this. Doesn't even know me. I was abused as a child. I spent weeks in hospital rooms. What saved me was when Mom brought me comic books. You don't realize the power and the impact of how many kids you are helping. You don't realize that you're changing lives. And I didn't. And then the notes came in from the nurses saying, Mark, you didn't realize what just happened, but you sent to us a book. And I took a comic book to someone who had very poor English, and we sat down, and the person started pointing at pictures, and all of a sudden that person and I had an interaction. And as a nurse, I got that person smiling, all because of your comic book. You can't imagine the positive impact that these little funny books called comic books are having for the kids. And I didn't, guys. I didn't know at the time that we would have such and I don't want to overblow this. We're not fixing the physiological, right? We're not curing the child. So I don't want to overstate that.
I got to give a shout out to our girl, man.
I got
to give a shout out to our girl.
If you heard me, I did say get your Kleenex before I said that, right? So the reality is, we can't fix the physiological, but there will be so many people that will say the psychological well-being of the child while they're in the hospital is so critical to make sure they have a positive attitude.
Yeah.
And we tell, because I had one nurse tell me, Mark, we tell kids right before surgery that we're going to give them a comic book, and then they're going to get one afterwards, and they can't wait.
And you know what? I'm fighting something back here, Mark. So I've been holding it down a little bit here, so that I could say this calmly. These characters mean something to people.
Yes.
They're already okay. Stop trying to make them different.
Pop and I have already had this conversation. And you know what? This is a separate call, okay, and a separate discussion. But I agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you.
I wanted to say about, look, how I met Mark. She's right there. Okay, she's right there in the chat. All right. Karen was a good friend of mine through 4 or 5 Facebook groups before I landed in the madness. Okay. She followed me through all these groups. She's been a friend of mine the whole time. And she was the one who was like, Pops, you should be doing something with this. She really was the driving force in making sure that I made what you're doing part of, my crusade, I guess, to make sure everybody gets seen. I think this is a very worthy cause. I'm 100% behind it. I got 4 grandkids, ages 6 to 10. It's 6 to 11. I'm sorry, Emma. You know, it's like I want them to have comic books that they read that bring their generation into what we're doing. So, I mean, yeah, I'm indie comics all the way. Okay. But I'm really, really, really indie kid comics because without that next generation of readers, all my friends don't got nothing to do.
Yeah.
Look,
And you know what? There's
it is the creators making that are keeping this going. It's, you know what? So much of our support comes from that incredible group. And I attribute a lot of our success and our based upon talent and the generosity and the kindness of the indie creators. It doesn't mean that we haven't received some support from some of the real legends in the industry, but the reality is it's been the indie creators who have been with us and who have made a difference, and they're very much appreciated. You know, this has been a viral approach, right? I mean, most shops don't even know who we are. Most creators, even 4 years in now, don't even know we exist. And yet we're able to have that indoor facility because those that do support us. There's a shop in Pennsylvania called Hooked on Comics. And they met me at the very first Diamond Summit. I mean, remember I told you, I mentioned that Diamond had announced that they were going to do they announced a relationship with. So they decided to have a Diamond Summit. They graciously gave me a table for free. Guys from Hooked on Comics go up. Everybody comes up. And I mean, you know, Funko's there. Everybody's got their own table at a Diamond Summit. And I had everybody tell me, oh, we're going to work with you. We're going to work with you. You're going to work with you. Hooked on Comics. We're a shop in Pennsylvania. We're going to work with you. We do auctions every Saturday night. We're going to work with you. Well, I never heard from anybody else. But Hooked on Comics, true to their name, true to their word, started their Saturday night auction. And they sent me a check. That was 200 weeks ago. They have not missed a week since in 200 weeks. We're coming up on 4 years, 52 times 4, 208. From that week, for the following week, every Saturday night or Sunday, they do an auction and they have not missed a week. If someone is sick and they can't do an event, they take money out of their own pocket. They've given me money every single week. It may only be $100. It doesn't matter. They've made a difference for the kids.
And that's what pays for the shipping.
That's what, you know, someone gives me $10. I write them a donation receipt. $10 helps me. It makes it a box of, 16 by 13 by 13. That's not a small box, right?
No,
and that
it's not.
It doesn't mean a hospital only gets one box. Some hospitals get 3 or 4 boxes, right? So our shipping cycle costs us several thousands of dollars plus the cost of getting the material in. So I get $5, I get $10. I'm just as excited. It makes a difference.
Right.
Now you have an event coming up very soon here, and we've been talking about Pops and I back and forth. 2/22/22.
What a cool idea! I can't do that again next year, can I? But look, it's the first annual Comic Book for Kids Day, and 2/22/22 is.
Oh.
What are you doing, Pops?
Was that subliminal, Pops? Was that a subliminal?
you know, first annual Comic Book for Kids Day. You bet.
He's got his slides and I got mine.
It wasn't subliminal there. That was on. So what we decided to do was every February 22nd, we want to do something on behalf of the kids. Now we announce our awards. We have annual awards. The worst kept, best kept secret in the industry, but we do a Retailer of the Year, we do a Publisher of the Year, we do President's Awards, we do some type of awards, and we announce them in February. We're going to announce them on 2/22. But we also have a major announcement that's going to talk about expansion on 2/22. I'm not going to talk about it now, but I think it will really.
I've done a little hinting here and there, but I haven't full blown announced it yet.
By the time it comes around, it's going to be the worst kept secret because Karen knows. I won't think everybody knows. But we're also asking people to do things. Like there's shops that we've asked to do events for us. I had one guy, I talked to a shop the other day. He goes, Mark, it's Tuesday. I love that. 222 on a Tuesday. I love that. I said, so Mark, it's a Tuesday. We want to do it the weekend before. I said, great. I'm a sales guy at heart. I said, put it up there in honor of Comic Book for Kids Day. We can't wait till Tuesday. We're starting a few days early. Look, you're a retailer. You got to make money with your own creativity. Get people in your store and do something for us. What if you're not a retailer? What if you're not a store? What if you're a creator? What if you're an indie? Draft a piece of your own art and sell it. Give us a percentage. I don't need all the money. Keep some for yourself. Give us a percentage. There are some Instagram and forgive me, Pops, influencers. Sorry, that will be. Pops does not like that word.
I told him about my aversion to that word.
An influencer.
Doesn't like the word influencer.
Yeah. Pops is more of a guy who's under the influence every once in a while.
You know what? Remember my earlier comment about burning the midnight oil on a cup of coffee? It's okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we've got influencers. That's awesome. That's influencers who are going to do it. We've got stores that are going to do it. Lone Star Comics, Buddy Saunders.
I would like to change the word influencer to herald.
To heroin, what?
Herald.
Oh,
Harold, as in hark.
I am the herald of CB4K, not
I
an
think
influencer trying to get people to go there.
Listen, no wrong answer, Pops. There's no wrong answer, right? But Buddy Saunders, shout out to Buddy Saunders, who sent a note to me. I asked him, Buddy, would you help us out? Buddy Saunders puts a logo on his website. Every page has our logo. And when people check out, they can give $1 to us. I said, Buddy, Buddy had a stroke not too long ago. He's getting better. But Buddy is like one of the largest e-tailers in the country, and he's been very kind to us. And I said, would you be willing to help us? He said, help you? I'm going to give you all the proceeds on that day that are on consignment. Really? Yeah. So, even if he gives me a percentage of the proceeds, I don't care. The goal here is to bring all of us together on behalf of the kids, right? Ultimately, let's bring this industry together, this industry that has infighting, that has political crap going on. Let's put that all aside and let's all agree that together we can do something on behalf of these kids in hospitals and take our love and appreciation for this industry and our comic books, and let's get these kids appreciating it. Let's remember what we were like when we were kids and how it made a difference for us, and let it make a difference for them. And that's the goal of 22222, to do something for kids in hospitals. And so I'm asking everybody to shout it out, let everybody do something. And by the way, it doesn't matter what they do. If you can do something that helps the kids, that's what matters.
Now, Mark, you talked about you've got 185 hospitals in the United States that you're sending comics to. You're getting ready to cross those borders, aren't you?
Worst kept secret ever, Pops. God. Karen, what are you whispering to people? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I have been unabashedly saying we're the largest charity in the U.S. for comic books, in pop culture, and kids, in hospitals and cancer centers. Not a real stretch, guys. When I told you at the very beginning, we're the only charity in the U.S. for comic books and kids. But honestly, there are others. I'm sure there's other organizations that do this. And
Heroes for Causes, CaptainWallace.org. I got a few that I represent as well.
There's lots of incredible organizations that do this. We've just amassed. We've got the critical mass, and I will support every one of those other organizations you mentioned, Pops. And
I do for them just like I do for you. I sing their praises.
It's not competition. Someone said to me, "Hey, what happens if someone does this better than you?" I said,
"Kids get more comics."
Given how much I'm getting paid, great, right?
This is what I told you earlier, man. It's not a competition. It's about doing the best you can do.
Correct.
For the kids.
Correct.
Now, Mark, I'm going to go backwards in time a little bit here, because we talked a little bit about this. You told the Batman story and how it, impacted that guy's life. You did this because you were getting rid of comic books and you wanted to donate them, and there wasn't a donation place to go to. At what point in this whole path here did it hit you personally, the impact that you were making on people?
I think I mentioned to you the email about the man who had been abused as a child.
Yeah.
But I started getting emails from nurses and stories from them. And I would go in a small little, I call it my office. It's a room in my house that I got my, I go in my office to check my emails, and there'd be a note from a hospital, and there'd be a little note from a nurse. And it would say something like, you have no idea what you did. You have no idea the influence you did. Then I got a note from a child, and I've mentioned him before, who was a little boy who was going through heart surgery. He's got half a heart, right? Half a heart. And he's had multiple surgeries, just a little boy. And he liked Batman, like superheroes. And his mom reached out to me, can we do something? Can we do something for him? His name is Gabe. I've mentioned him on my Facebook, our Facebook page. He's got a Facebook post page himself. And she goes, I know you send stuff to kids in hospitals. He's going to be going to the hospital soon, but do you do home? Would you send stuff to home? I said, sure. Look, it's all about making him feel better. So we sent stuff to his house. I get an email the other day with not the other day, but after I sent this out, with his mom sending me a video of Gabe opening the box we sent him of the toys and the comic book and the smile. Oh, Mom, look at this. There's Superman. Oh, look at that. There's Captain America. The boy lit up, and you could see the tears coming down Mom's face, because her little boy, who is going in the hospital for heart surgery, is excited, is thrilled, because he just got a box with cool little stuff. All right. And I will tell you, RJ, week after week, I still get emails from people saying, you can't post this, but let me tell you what a difference you made. I can't send you a picture, but you made me cry with what you did for my child. And you see that second picture, the middle, underneath the 185, there's a little boy with glasses wearing a green thing, that one there.
Yes.
It's, they light up. And they light up the way we lit up when we were kids. And while they've got these comic books, they're not in a hospital anymore. They're not in that bed. They're fighting dragons. They're flying through space. They're beating bad guys. They're superheroes. They're not in the hospital. They're making a difference. And that's when I realized, RJ, that we were making a difference. And it wasn't just the comic books anymore, that we were really making a psychological and positive mental well-being difference for all these kids. And then what's the real true measure of adoption? When the hospitals come back to you and say, hey, Mark, this is awesome. Thank you. Can you send me more? Can you send me more? You have no idea what you're doing for the kids. That is the feedback I get.
So the website is comicbooksforkids.org. I think it's also shorthand cb4k.org. It'll redirect.
Letter C for comic, letter B for books, the number 4, letter K, cb4k.org. If you go to our upper right-hand corner and click on our F for Facebook, we update Facebook on a very, very recurring basis. At least once or twice a week, we update Facebook. All right. The very first post is a pinned post where I thank people for being there. But the one right underneath it, is the one we did today. It basically shows some of the stuff that we're going to be giving to the kids. This is stuff that we just received. We got some Spanish bilingual books for the kids who don't speak, where English isn't their primary language. We got
Phoenix Children's Hospital, Tucson Children's Hospital.
We got Funkos. That's the lower right-hand corner. Those are Funko boxes, and those are coloring books where your cursor is right now that we're going to be sending. And that's
this is your indoor place here, and it's filling up with boxes.
I love it. Now, all that stuff, every box you see, will be gone in our next shipment. That is how much we are shipping out, and it costs money. I mean, that's why I asked for help, because these boxes cost a lot of money, right? To ship out.
Everybody in comics knows what shipping costs nowadays, right, RJ?
Yeah. I know more than anybody.
So
that's another thing. Mark, you and RJ need to talk logistics. That's what he does. Shipping logistics. That's his thing.
Well,
I think I might be able to learn a few things from Mark.
I use a product called ShipStation. I take advantage of their shipping discount. I tend to go UPS because I can't go. Look, we all know the secret of media mail, right? Whether you can or not, we know the secret of media mail in the post office and how they.
We know more secrets, don't we, RJ?
But the reality is, I'm not shipping comics. I'm not shipping books. I'm shipping Funko Pops. I'm shipping toys.
Exactly.
So I'm not. I can't take advantage of the low cost shipping rates. I mean, it is what.
That's what
but
I'm
at some
saying.
point,
it's like even like overseas shipping, it's like RJ's got stuff figured out to the dime on weight and all that. He does that.
Now we didn't. Well, speaking of overseas, we never talked about Comic Book for Troops, have we?
We didn't get to that far. I know it's like because let's face it, you're gonna get a lot of comics from these people who are giving you comics. You can't give them to kids.
So
some of them got to go to the boys.
So you know what? Click on that Comic Book for Troops thing, and go down a little bit. And so you want to see a bunch of grown men smiling like little kids? You just go to that page, right? I mean, look at it. So, by the way, what you're seeing right there is that gentleman is holding our Comic Book for Kids Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles variant. Kevin Eastman was so cool, and he heard about what we were doing, and through a friend of a friend said, and it was a one-time deal only, would you like some unpublished art? And so we did. We worked with IDW. Again, so many of these people who we work with are gone. We did our own little variant. And again, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is not something I'm giving the kids. It was the only time we did a variant that was not kids-oriented, but it went to the military.
I do know a few creators that are vets that have, books that they created that are, they would probably love to know about this. That's why I'm shouting this out everywhere.
Well, so we started receiving books. We started receiving books that were just inappropriate for the kids, right? I mean, Wolverine's cool, but do I want to give a 10-year-old a picture of Wolverine slicing someone's head off with his claws? No, okay? So I was starting to get donations, and I would say more than half of what I was getting was it was brand new, it was good stuff, but I couldn't give it to kids.
Right.
Now we don't deal with mature, right? I mean, I just stay away from the mature. It's going to be teen or teen plus. But some mature I could deal with, but I had to be careful with what that was. So because operating 70 hours a week wasn't enough, we said, let's just create another sister charity called Comic Book for Troops.
A totally different 501c3 now.
It's actually not. I did not go through the process because I wanted to get this thing going, and I made it a subsidiary of Comic Book for Kids. So it's all part of the same organization.
That works.
Although I could, and I may at some point have to, have its own, profit and loss. But for now, I keep it as part of our own organization. We started last year having donated only 10,000, 13,000 comics to the troops. We ended last year over almost 100,000 comics to the troops.
You froze.
Robot.
You're Mark, I don't know if you can hear us, but you are frozen in space and time. Your voice is back, and now
there
you're
he's
moving
back.
again.
Okay, he's back.
So I mean, 1 year later, 100,000 comics in 1 year to the troops, and we became very quickly the largest charity in the U.S. for comic books to the troops in 1 year. So, I mean, pallets, literally pallets to the troops.
And the coverage here, this isn't your building the web page. I mean, it's your web page. This is taken from ICV2, folks. And if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of comics, ICV2 is the industry trade magazine that has all the numbers and all the. It's the PBS news coverage of the 70s of the comics industry. It's just straight, dry. Yeah. This is the facts business.
Okay. It's CNN when CNN meant something. Can I just say?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. It's not the
latest news over there. I'm just going to leave that one completely alone.
Yes, sir. We'll move right past that after that.
Can we go down here and look at all these other sponsors that aren't just comic books? Look at all the people look at all the different corporations that are involved in this.
I just say, Mark, if you haven't printed this out as like an 8x10 to hang by your desk as inspiration for every single day,
you should.
You should. That would.
By the way, that picture came from Canada. I said U.S., right? We're the largest charity in the U.S. But we sent those we also send to Canada. We're not a charity in Canada, but we support Canada. And I will send, by the way, it is not cheap to send a box to Canada.
No, we know. We have
all right.
That's what I mean, Mark. It's like we all involve so much in shipping all over the world. It's like many streams talking about the cost of shipping.
That little boy was sitting in a Toronto hospital and was thrilled to get that picture. But I mean, if you go down and you'll page down and you'll see. Oh, by the way, I love that. Talk about someone getting into it, right? We send comic books. She's a nurse, and she gets into her comic. She gets into her Spider-Man costume and takes a cart around with comics and stuff and hands them to the kids. So we got the hospitals getting involved with this now and getting engaged with this, right? It's amazing. Here are some of the supporters, right? Funko, Pez. Who doesn't like Pez? Everyone likes Pez. I will tell you, I actually called Pez and I yelled at them. I said, guys, I got to be honest with you. I'm in my unit and I'm shipping boxes and I get hungry. I said, it's not.
You up there eating all the Pez. Oh.
Not a good thing, So
you up there eating all the Pez, aren't you?
Neither confirm nor deny. It's not.
Who doesn't want to take somebody's head, rip it off their shoulders, and eat candy out of their throat?
I've never thought of it that way, but yes. But yeah, so here's our sponsors. If you see them on here, they've made a difference for us. Okay. You see DCBS and Luna.
Yeah.
Brand new. And you're going to, and I just got a note from the very kind people at Lunar that they were going to try and post something for 222 to ask all their stores to get involved. Very, very cool if we can do it. Right. So, Paizo.
Now, see, right below this now, you need to add comic-related madness and critical blast.
Once I would do something. I haven't done anything for him, but this is nothing.
It's a start.
You know what?
It's a start.
I am thrilled to add logos. It costs me nothing, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy sharing. By the way, we'll hyperlink it back, right? These are organizations who, and by the way, they don't always, Pez doesn't donate to us. I buy from Pez at a discount. Bendon is a coloring book company. Every time the hospitals want coloring books, by the way, I pay 75 cents per coloring book. I just wrote Bendon a check for $1,000.
Does BCW donate bags and boards for the books?
They will donate bags and boards, or they will treat me as a distributor and charge me. But in the past, they've actually made donations to us at no charge.
Nice. I love BCW. Good product.
Very, very kind. Zenoscope. What the heck, Mark, are you doing with a company called Zenoscope? I know the cover Zenoscope has.
Those are for the troops.
Well, actually, no, because unbeknownst to me, I'm at Chicago and I see Zenoscope and I walk up to the guy and I say, hey, listen, man, I wish I could work with you, but personally, the covers you have, art's incredible. Just don't see it flying in hospitals. Mark, we do kids books. I said, no, you don't. Mark, we do kids books. No, you don't. He said, are you aware of our Discovery Animal Planet series?
No.
No, I'm not.
No. So he said, so they goes, we did something that we no longer have the license for, but we have cases upon cases of these books that are Discovery Animal Planet on sharks and dinosaurs and the world's fiercest animals, and they're yours. All you got to do is pay. You have to pay for shipping, but we'll send you case after case after case. If you can pay for the shipping for these, we'll give these to you. Discovery Animal Planet books, and huge hit with hospitals. So I just got a bunch of those again.
Yeah, I have a granddaughter that really wants one of them shark books. I'm just telling you that right now.
Done. All right. We'll send her a dinosaur one too, because you gotta love dinosaurs.
Well, I mean, I got 4 grandkids, but I have a granddaughter that is a huge sharky.
Yeah.
Okay.
I recognize every name on here, and I recognize every name that I don't see. And I'm not going to call anybody out because that's not cool. But there are people on here that I would have expected to see that I don't.
So I went after DC and Marvel heavy. I have no problem discussing this, right? DC is owned by Warner. Warner is owned by what? AT&T now, right?
Well, they got sold to Discovery.
Right. So, but the new sales exec from DC, not brand new, used to work at Boom. So we have a door open now there.
Yes.
Marvel, owned by Disney. You would think Disney would want to work with us. And I have every expectation they would if
Mouse works with no one.
But I need but you know what? I haven't broken through with the contact there yet. I think once we get Disney to greenlight Marvel, but by the way, I've got retailers giving me as many Marvel books as I want. So do I really need Marvel? You see what I mean? So
yeah,
there's all.
I'm just going to say, if they were selling better, they wouldn't have so many to give away.
Different issue, Pops. Different issue.
So, yeah. Now, when you get kids sending the comic books back to saying, "I don't want to read this," that's when Marvel's got a problem.
Well, yes, indeed, absolutely. But look, you know what?
It's all about having fun and making sure the kids are having fun. And
look, there's corporate politics. Everybody wants to support this, right? But there's corporate politics. There's policies. We'll get there. You know what? And I will tell you, there's a gentleman who worked at DC. He was let go in one of the bloodlettings that occurred in the last 6 months.
One of many.
Chu Fong, I think was his name. He's a true gentleman. I mean, and I saw him at a show and said, "How come you guys don't want to work with us?" And he looked at me and says, "Well, because you never reached out to me." And I had stuff coming to me. He actually was sending me stuff. It was don't post it on your Facebook. And he wasn't trying to be duplicitous. He wasn't trying to be. It was, here's some stuff from our stuff that we have and we can give to you. So you know what? We're getting there. As you can see from that room, the picture of our room on our website, we're not hurting for inventory. All right, we've got inventory. The challenge I'm having is, that room costs me money. I have to pay rent for that room every single month, right? So, the challenge always is, making sure you have inventory. I talked about the 3-headed dragon. The first one was the demand from the hospitals. The second was having inventory. And the third is the cash to pay for the shipping. Those are the 3 heads. And you got to make sure you support all 3.
And there it is right there. The real superheroes of those kids.
The real heroes. The real heroes. Honestly, the real heroes are all of you guys who are making a difference. The kids, we're going to make the kids will be the future heroes of tomorrow. But today, the real heroes are all of you guys who are making a difference for us. And I think
RJ over here throwing money at you. Doxing yourself, RJ. I seen that.
My name and address and phone number are on my website.
I know everybody knows mine too. It's like everybody's like, "You're gonna dox yourself, Pops." It's like, oh, what? Everybody already knows it.
You will get a personal thank you from me. Believe it or not, you'll get a donation receipt and you'll get a personal note from me. I am never too busy to say thank you to anyone who wants to.
I came to the page because I wanted to see how people could, how retailers could donate to comics, where to send them, how to package them, how to ship them. Especially the creators who are doing Kickstarters might say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make an extra 25 and put them together for you. And I saw this giant PayPal bill, and I'm like, oh, I can do that.
You know what, though? But Pops will tell you this. Karen will tell you this. And I will share this with you. I mean, Pops calls me on the phone. I answer the phone. I mentioned that earlier. I mean, I am incredibly accessible.
Mm-hmm.
People want to talk to me and come up with ideas for Kickstarters, Indiegogos, any type of fundraiser. Call me. We'll strategize. I love talking with the people who want to make a difference for the kids. And maybe in some capacity, we can help push that along and increase the reception of what they're doing. It's all about we're all in this together, right? We're all in this together. We're all helping each other out. And that's what's fun about this too.
For me, like I said, it was a no-brainer. As soon as I watched Karen be involved in this through, like I said, a couple other groups, and it was like, why aren't we doing this in the madness? I don't know. It took a year or more for us to, kick ourselves in the butt and get the madness involved. But man, there's nothing better than doing stuff for the kids, you guys. I'm just saying.
You know what?
And if you got to look for something next, the troops is the next best thing.
Click. Before we go, RJ.
Sure.
Underneath the comic book for troops is a tab called Community.
Oh, now you can put the letters in front of us, man.
You asked, when did I know?
Yeah.
When did I know? Right? These are a few years old.
2007. Yeah.
Not 17. Better be 2000. Yeah.
But, I'm old. I can't read.
But
he's small.
Just keep going. Just keep going down. You see letters. You see there's Shriners. Remember, RJ, you mentioned Shriners?
Yeah.
All right. So we work with several Shriners. There's pages, and you don't need to read them. I wanted to point this out to those who are viewing this, but we get constant letters, and a lot of these we now put on our Facebook. Again, most of the stuff that we receive is now on our Facebook, but when we first started doing this, it was about we wanted to put some on our website, a difference. So it just the nurse, you can see here. Look, you're going to see the next picture as you page down. A nurse getting into this, they get into it too. That's what's so much fun is everybody enjoys the difference we're making for the kids. All right, last quick story. Mark, do you guys accept graphic novels? Yes, we do, because we started creating graphic novel lending libraries in hospitals. So we contacted all the hospitals and said, hey, do you have places where books can be reused? And in some cases, read over and over again. And they said, yes. So guess what? We've got lending libraries in several hospitals from the graphic novels that we've received from people. Mark, do you accept Funko Pops? Yes, we do. So we get Funko Pops and people get them, throw it in the box, and we make a child happy. It's very simple.
It's awesome. You do great stuff.
This is amazing work. And this is she's getting into putting it onto the boys' life rack there.
They get it. They do get. And that's so much fun, right? I mean, you can see the joy that
You can tell these nurses really care about the kids because of how passionate they are about making them happy.
right.
You
A-
know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and by the way, a shout out to Miss Karen Pierman, who it is my conscience, is the person I have gone to so many times to say, Karen, what do you think of this idea? And I value Karen in ways I cannot say
as
enough
do I.
about. She has been just an absolute joy and pleasure because she's the
Oh, not now! Don't freeze now! Oh, you're gonna have to say all this stuff over again, Mark.
He's probably waiting for his camera to come back on.
we're back.
Oh.
We're back. We're back.
We're
You gotta
back.
say it all over
Rebooted.
again.
See, Karen, I said some nasty words and they cut me off. No, I didn't. But the joy Karen is, I mean, Karen has just been my conscience, and she is a delight. And a lot of times when I read
Yes, she is.
something from Karen, I get something, or I've got a book, I'll say, Karen, I don't have time to read this. Will you read this and evaluate this for me? Will you tell me if it's kid friendly? I mean, I feel we could have our own comic book for kids book evaluation. You know, how many swear words, how many, because we've got to vet everything we send to the kids, right? And we've got to go to lowest common denominator on comic, right? Because stuff that may work in California may not work on the East Coast. So we've got to.
I did something unique with my character. He swears in binary because he was created on the internet.
Oh my gosh!
So he swears in ones and zeros. So you don't really know what he's saying anyway.
I don't know
My,
what.
my
That's amazing.
my son, when he was 7 or 8, when he would get angry, he would just like ball his fist up and he'd go, $! Exclamation point star.
That's perfect.
Because
Yeah,
he would read the Archies, and that's what they did. They
You
would,
know how people like if their native language, like say Italian, and an Italian person starts cursing, they revert to their native language, right?
Yeah.
So Crom was born on the internet, and when he curses, he falls back on his first language, which is binary.
I gotta love that. You know,
but somebody reads the comics and counts the words.
Well, I mean, somebody would have to do the ones and zeros and figure out what that.
I don't
curse
mean
is.
I mean the ones that are already being donated.
yeah.
Hopefully there aren't any if they're donating them for the kids,
You know
right?
what?
I
Well,
mean,
no, because here, I mean, Oni and Tokyo Pop, right? Wonderful organizations that really, really are very strongly support us. But not only do they do comics, but they do the little trades,
Manga.
the little books, right?
yeah, the manga.
And I get, they'll say, Mark, do you want a couple hundred of these? And I don't know if I want a couple hundred of them, right? Now, here's the other interesting thing I have to think about, right? The American Cancer Society contacted me. I love this. Mark, would you get some comics to kids in hospitals? Wait, you're the American Cancer Society. You want to read it? Sure. We're gonna have. Here's a comic we have, and we want you to get it out. Okay. Would you send it to me so I can review it? Sure. So I read it. And it's about a little boy who has cancer. He's going to go through therapy to net it out. His mother dies. His father ends up being the bad guy. At the end of the comic, his father gets arrested. They're putting him in a police car, and the father takes out a cigarette, and the last panel is the kid saying, Dad, you shouldn't be smoking either. And I'm like, wait a minute, who wrote this? This is the most depressing comic I have ever seen. And the American Cancer Society wants me to give this to kids in hospitals. All right. So they came back to me again and they said, we got this other comic. And I said, I got to read it first, because I always have to take a look and make sure that what I'm presenting to the kids is a very positive, uplifting, encouraging story. Why? I'm not going to depress a child while they're in a hospital bed, right? So I blasted them. I sent them a scathing note saying, look, I know you guys meant well, but what are you thinking? Right? Where's the positivity? So anytime I get a book, and this is how Karen's been wonderful, is, is it a positive, moving message? Is it uplifting? Because we are all about, look, we know that not every story has happy endings, but we've got to make a positive. Every Facebook post you see from us is positive. Every single one. People will read it at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, because it's about positivity. It's about making a difference. And that's what we want to do for the kids. We're not going to give them anything that's depressing as all hell, right?
And I totally understand that. This is about lifting up their spirits, definitely not making them fall farther into, a state of depression or whatever.
Oni called me today. Oni sent me a note that they've got these books for me, and some of them are award winning. So I looked one up, and it's like, well, this person has had some issues with abuse and on and on and on. And I wrote him back saying, hey, look, send me a preview copy. Well, I recognize that at the end of the book that things happen and it's very positive. I don't need a really heavy middle section of the book where there's trauma and massive depression. I can't. That's not the message I want to send. I recognize that happens, but that could be some of the reasons some of these kids are in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
So we are all going to be all about positivity, and Karen has been wonderful in helping me evaluate a lot of those books. So thank you.
Karen has been she was an admin in the Madness way back when we first started it, and she's an admin in the Madness again. She's a huge part of what we do. We appreciate her, and look, I'll be honest, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been talking to you,
right?
Right. I mean, so. Right.
Well, here I'm gonna step away for 10 seconds and show you a comic book variant we did, but you'll get the idea of where my head's at. So give me 5 seconds here. All right.
Absolutely. And everybody, just talk to your retailer. Let them know that comicbooksforkids.org is out there. Hit them up on the 22222 thing. See if maybe you can't talk your retailer into donating. Giving customers a 15% discount if they bring in comics to donate or something. Just get your retailer involved in this. If you are a retailer, go to cb4k.org, get a hold of Mark, and ask them how you can participate.
Does Diamond offer anything to the retailers to donate books to CB4K, or is there a way we can get Diamond to put a little flyer in that guide that says, "Hey, yo, CB4K, everybody"? That would put it in every retailer store. Especially if they gave it like the back cover or something, every single retailer that uses Diamond would be seeing CB4K.
I can't speak for the executive team now. There's been so much changeover in Diamond.
Right.
But I do maintain very good relationships with them.
Throw it at them. Can I have the back cover just once a year? Can I have the back cover in February?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I will show you something. If you see on our website, our little logo is, a child in a hospital bed smiling, right? So we wanted to do, there it is, right? It's a little boy in a hospital reading a comic smiling. So it was time for our first variant, and I can share this with the people who are watching because I think it's fun. And we wanted to do something fun for our first variant, and we ended up talking with Art Baltazar, who was doing some work with Archie, and he loved Little Archie.
Yeah, he did the Teeny Titans for DC.
Correct. And so I had done that. He was doing Little Archie, and he was on his way. I think it was 2018. He was on his way to New York Comic Con, and so he told me to call him when he was sitting at O'Hare because he's a Chicago boy as well. And he goes, so Mark, what are we doing? I've never met Art, right? It turns out he lives 10 minutes from my house, but I never met Art. I said, Art, here's what I want. Our logo is a boy in a hospital bed. So what I want is a little boy or girl, I don't care which, in a hospital bed. I want him surrounded by the Little Archie characters. I want a poster on the back wall. The kid has to be smiling. There's got to be Archie comics on the bed. He goes, Mark, I got it. Got it. And that's what
Wow. Look at that.
it captures our theme of positivity with the little boy, everyone smiling, the post wall,
I have that cover.
right?
I have one of
And our
those.
there. So now,
That's
now
fantastic.
it's time to work with Titan, and we want to do Doctor Who. Okay, got to have a child in a hospital bed, got to have a few doctors around, got to have some toys. Same thing, right? So we've done a few variants. For you Doctor Who fans, I wanted to have, you can see the Weeping Angel right there. I wanted to have that as a Dalek. You want to know why we couldn't get a Dalek? Any guesses?
I have no idea. They're all owned by the BBC, aren't they?
No. The Daleks are owned by someone else.
Really?
And I know that. And I'll show you one last cover, which is fun as well, because we did a few variants. And this is the other one we did. All right.
Now, Mark, when we see these variants in stores, because they are store available variants, right?
Nope, they're not.
They're not. Okay.
These were we did these for a very rare period of time. I do have a few left. I mean, someone really wants them. I mean, I've got a few left, but not many. I mean, I was selling these at shows. They're hard to get now, but there are some available on eBay, and I've seen prices all over the map from very low to very high. And but if someone really needs a cover, wants to buy a cover, they should reach out to me. My favorite one was we wanted to do Transformers. Transformers is owned by Hasbro.
Yes.
Look, I'm not in again, I don't know this stuff, right? I wanted to, the IDW calls me, maybe we can do a Transformer cover, great. And so I always design the cover image. I'm not an artist. I have no artistic ability, but I know what I want in the cover. So I said, look, I want a little boy or a girl in a hospital bed. I want Optimus Prime looking in through the window. I want toys on the bed. I want the kid smiling. And this is what we ended up with Transformers.
Very cool. Hasbro came through.
And well, you would not believe the very first time we saw this little guy here had a mean look. And the kid was not smiling. He was aghast. He was like, looked scared. And I had to go back. I had the not real fun task of going back to the artist and telling him his picture was ugly, saying the kid's scared to death. The little creature here in the window is scary. And over 3 or 4 iterations, we got the boy smiling with the toys on there. And again, it's all about positive vibes. So yeah, I have a few of these left. I think I've got some of these available. If somebody really, really wants some, they're $30, $40 or whatever, reach out to me. And, we've got,
I thought maybe there might be some program, especially if you gear towards the next 222, where publishers can do a special CB4K cover for that week of comics.
Well, the first thing, right, RJ? This is the first annual 222, and this came up very quickly, and we planned it out. And I mean, this was one of those things that we planned out. But I mean, it gets better and better and better, and I want to get through this year because there's going to be some amazing announcements. But I can only imagine what we're going to be like next year as this thing grows, and we have the wonderful supporters and everybody else helping us. So yeah. So you know what? Look, it's all about making a difference, and I'm honored and thrilled to as we started talking about this. Oh my gosh, it's almost been a couple of hours. Hard to believe, but the plan was 4 or 5 hospitals, right? 4 or 5 hospitals, and
look at you now.
Look at us now, and maybe crossing international boundaries to your previous point, but we'll talk more about that.
Do you have I know you've got the website up, you've done the alternate covers. Do you have anything that's already pre-made as sort of like an advertisement thing that's comic book sized, that's hey, this CB4 Kids, contact us here, here's what we do?
Yeah,
already done up.
We actually have. So that flyer that Pop showed earlier, that
part on the left, on the left,
that's actually a flyer that we use. It's printed up. I've got hundreds and hundreds of those. I have other flight. I mean, that's like about it.
This is something I want to say to you, Mark, and I want to get this out while it's in my mind. Okay, I'm doing Hall of Heroes Comic Con. I'm doing Grand Rapids Comic
how
Con.
many do you want?
As many, as many as you want to send me, because I'll put them on tables. I'll hand them out.
So, again, this is the crazy thing as a charity, right? Everything costs us money. It costs me money to pay for those. So, absolutely thrilled. I want Funko to do anything comic book for kids. I'm working on it. I
want a Pops Pop, just one.
So Pops, think about how many you want, and I can send you some, recognizing, again, it's expense to print them up. It's expense to ship them. I've got to be careful with every penny. On the other hand, I'm not going to be penny wise foolish. I shouldn't say pound foolish.
I'll tell you straight. Within your budget, send me as many.
Tell me what
however many you send me, I'll split them up. I'll take some to one show and some to the other.
We'll get them for you. Okay.
Cool.
I'm not stupid either, right? I want to do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean it's two real good cons, and both of them actually support you. So,
I just emailed you with what I want, so you'll find it after the show here.
Careful, RJ wants it all the time. Just let you know.
What ours is going to probably say, I've already got it. A shark book put aside for Pops. Yeah, so
just slide that in there too.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
All right. Well, it has been 2 hours, and we need to let you get back to operating here and stop working.
I want to thank RJ for letting me come out and say hi to you, and I want to thank you for letting me be part of what you're doing. Now I'm gonna get out the way so you guys can get your last few minutes in. You rock, Mark.
Listen, guys, I feel blessed to have the opportunity to do this. If you had told me 5 years ago that I would give up a real job that brought an income and I would be doing this, I would have said doubtful. But, the world works in mysterious ways, and I feel very honored and blessed to be able to represent this industry on behalf of the kids. And it's not my charity. I make it very clear this is not my charity. This is the industry charity.
It's kids' charity.
I just want to say, Mark, Karen will tell you when she first met me, this is what I did. Hey, everybody, look what I got today. This is how much things have changed for me over the last 5 years as well.
It's a
I get it.
It's a different world.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
awesome getting to see you. Put a face to the voice. Now I'll know who I'm talking to, and I will see you again real soon, my friend.
All right. And that's all I gotta say is, Mark, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. 2 hours, and I did not feel 2 hours going into that.
Look, at any point in time, if any of your viewers want me to come back, they want to ask me any questions, they want to get involved. I mean, heck, they don't need me to come back. They can call me. They can get involved. They can just know I'm available. I'm accessible. But most importantly, RJ, my sincere thanks to you for giving us a voice to speak with, to the incredible people who are watching, to the incredible indie creators that you have supporting you. We live and breathe based on that group, and our support is with them as well. And we appreciate everything that you and they are doing.
We have 20 days until 2/22/22. You got any special plans for the day in question, or?
Yes. Find out on 2/22/22. I mean, listen. Right now, every day, I am in promotion mode, and here. Let's talk about that. You saw those boxes, right? The boxes in the unit. I got to get those out. So while I'm promoting 2/22/22. I got 185 hospitals to ship to, right? I got the emails to take care of. I got the charity to run. So I got a lot of operations ahead of me. So, and there will be some amazing announcements. So we got the awards. I got the awards to work on. So look, we're an all volunteer organization. Anybody who wants to help us, people ask me, how can they help? Spread the word. Spread the word about who we are. Get others involved in supporting us. but yeah, that's what I'm doing the next 20 days or so is operating at as much capacity as I can.
I'm going to do something on 22222. I want you to be a part of it. We'll talk about that later off the show.
Done deal.
So, all right, everybody in the chat, thank you so much for popping in tonight. As I always say, we don't have a show without you. Please do click the link for Comic Books for Kids. It's right below the video. It will always be there. It's part of the description. It was also pinned to the top of the chat. If you are paying attention while it's live, the chat goes away. It's still right down there. So with that, thank you for showing up. And as always, well, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.